The real crazy thought is President Trump missed that bullet by an angel's breath. He might have been on stage with his vice president as well. Not only could the leader of the Republican Party have been killed tonight, but also his anointed successor.
I was standing there and all of a sudden it sounds like firecrackers going off, but then I heard the shots, and then all of a sudden somebody hollers, "Get down on the ground," and everybody's going down on the ground as low as they can get. Then the Secret Service comes running up through and says, "Everybody out, get out of here now." And they ushered us out of the area.
Everybody stood together and everybody screamed out the Father's Prayer and everybody prayed together. That was amazing. That was something that was beautiful. That was really cool. Everyone together in the stands praying.
Horrifying. I mean, the shot, I mean, and the stuff was coming off the side. For people to do that, I don't know. It's just, it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. It's just going to drive people to even be more for him. I mean, especially when that picture comes out.
I'm very upset. I can't say for sure who's behind this, but I'll tell you what, it's only going to cause more division in this country because of the people that support President Trump.
And so when those first few bullet noises happened, there were people all around me, including myself, that thought that this was a firework or a BB gun, that it wasn't an actual shooting event. But as they kept coming, everyone kind of really quickly hit the floor, including the president. And it was a little bit of a dazed situation at that point. As we kind of peeked our heads back up, Secret Service had formed that kind of shell around him. And I got a little bit of footage of that. And the first thing I saw was him, reach out his fist to the audience, come to find out later that he was saying, "Fight, fight." And that definitely caused a ripple through the crowd. Everyone noticed that. It really kind of energized everyone. He gets on stage and I was standing right there, probably about 40 feet from him in the friends and family VIP section. And he gets on, and within the first 5 or 6 minutes, he immediately begins telling a series of stories about this chart that he had brought on about immigration that had to do with the difference between President Biden's record in when it came to the border versus his. And thank God for that chart, because I think it's because of his head turning left and right as he was explaining the things that were on that chart that first bullet actually missed him. There is that picture of one of the bullets whizzing by his head that one of the New York Times reporters got. I think the only reason that he didn't get hit today is because that chart was on the television and he was turning his head. President was maybe at 2 o'clock to my right. I turned to my left at 10 o'clock, about 40 feet away. In the bleachers, it was really clear that something was going on. Come to find out later that was one of the other victims. There was a lot of blood. There were several people who seemed to have blood on their shirts. I guess they were trying to take care of that person. They were carrying him out. It wasn't super clear whether it was on a gurney or a stretcher or just with their arms and legs, but it was very clear that someone had been much more seriously injured than the president, and there was visible blood everywhere. It wasn't really much when it came to President Trump, at least from the angle that I was at. You see in the pictures later that his ear got clipped and that he was bleeding a lot, but it was this really grisly scene to our left with what was going on with the bleachers. The audience wasn't like what you'd expect out of a crowd that just experienced something like this. Everyone was really quiet. There were a few women crying. They were, saying, "I can't believe they tried to kill him." But President Trump raising his fist really reassured the audience. And the overwhelming feeling was both care and concern, wondering if he was okay and being glad that it seemed like he was okay. There was no stampede out of the arena that you would expect in a situation like this. And as I was walking back to my car, it was about a third of a mile walk back to the car. Most people weren't hysterical. They weren't, freaking out. They were just having these quiet, muttering conversations, hoping that the president was okay. It was a really striking vignette into the kinds of people who come to these rallies and why they come to them. They really love the president. They really support him. And in that moment, above and beyond their own personal safety, they were worried about his. Yeah, so everyone had to go through metal detectors. There was a long line of Secret Service. I got through one of these expedited lines, and so it was a little bit shorter, but everyone had to walk through metal detectors. Everyone had to take out their phone and their keys and their badges, and there was stuff being taken away. There was stuff that wasn't allowed in, and so it seemed as airtight as security can look at something like this. The real crazy thought is, President Trump missed that bullet by an angel's breath. He might have been on stage with his vice president as well. Not only could the leader of the Republican Party have been killed tonight, but also his anointed successor. And so it's just a real lesson in how abrupt history can be. And we missed a historical pivot moment tonight in the future of the country on many levels, because the president is going to make it okay out of this. I do think that this should be a wake-up call to congressional Democrats and Democrats around the country, saying hey, words have consequences. If you keep saying that this guy is the second coming of Hitler, some wacko out there in a country of 300 million people is going to take you seriously and say, I can be the person who stopped Hitler in his tracks. And so it's a clarifying moment on that front.
Sure. Basically, what happens is a protective advance is done for anywhere between 5 and 7 days before the event. The detail will work with the local Secret Service office in that area to help liaise with state, local, and federal partners in that area to help us, the Secret Service, develop a very robust protective element within that venue. During that 5 to 7 days, the agents who are assigned to that protective advance will cover every possible what if that could happen at that venue. Again, where are the motorcade routes? Where is the airport? How long does it take to get to the airport? Let's develop a plan with the local police who are going to assist the motorcade and things of that nature. Again, 99.9% of the time, all of those things are done, and many of those things don't have to be implemented. But here's a perfect situation where it looks to me like a very good protective advance was done. Unfortunately, we had an incident, but the bottom line here is that the former president, was taken out of that venue and appears to be somewhat safe, although it appears he may have some injuries, but he is alive, and that's the most important thing here, as are all of the agents that are around him. There may not be anything that could have been done, and this person was able to perform this nefarious activity without being detected by the Secret Service for some reason. Don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you the Secret Service, the FBI, and those local, state, and federal partners are going to be looking at this with a fine-tooth comb and being able to send out a message to all the details now to make sure that whatever happened here, there are no copycat situations moving along, or to make sure that everybody that we're protecting in open air venues like this is double checking, triple checking, and quadruple checking everything that needs to be checked.
This evening we had what we're calling an assassination attempt against our former president, Donald Trump. It's still an active crime scene. As I mentioned, we have a number of agents on scene. Again, at this time, we are not prepared to identify who the shooter is. We are close to that identification, and as soon as we are 100% confident in who that individual is, we will share it with the press.
Thanks for watching this video.